All right, welcome back to the Blueprint to Ultra podcast with your hosts, Jeff Winchester and Steve Epifano. Listen, our goal with this podcast is to help runners just like you to put together their own plan for the next ultra. Now, we do that in a variety of different ways, but primarily by interviewing guests with a different background. Like for those who are beginner runners, those who are mid-pack runners, and those who are elite, really with the idea that you can take something that you hear from them and you can apply it to your own blueprint and get you prepared for your next ultra. Now, our guest today is someone I think you're going to be quite impressed by. He has only been running since October 2023, where he had his first 50K, and has put together a heck of a resume of races since that point. Now, my co-host Steve, Steve, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you first met him at the Roosters' backyard in February, I believe, and you also shared some of the course at the Mogollon Monster in 2024. Now, in the Roosters, he came in second place in that backyard. It was the first time they'd had that event. He didn't actually finish it because I guess he DNF'd it, but he still covered 108 miles in that race. Here are some other highlights, though, from his resume that I think you would be very interested to hear. He has ran the Across the Years 200 miler. He ran that in December 2024 with a time of 55 hours and 44 minutes. He also ran Western States this year, getting in with only one ticket, which means he sucks. But he also ran it in 20 hours and 55 minutes. So kudos to him as well, because that's an impressive time out at Western States. He has run the San Diego 100, the Kodiak 100, various other 50Ks and 50 milers, and he is also fast. He has a sub 3-hour marathon to his credit. He coaches high school cross country, and this young man is only 25 years old, just making me feel old as dirt. You would think he would want to talk about all of those things, and you would think we would too, but we actually don't. What we want to, though, do is to learn from our new friend about how he took on the Mogollon Monster twice and also the Ouray 100 this year. So if you're interested in hearing about climbing, training for these two races, lessons learned along the way, and some other random topics that will undoubtedly come up, then keep the podcast playing, keep it in your ears, and welcome to the show, our new friend, Mr. Tim Vail. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, Steven and Jeff, thanks for having me on.
One more thing to add real quick, because I just found this out before we started recording, and so for those listening, I'm going to add this to my intro. This young man has also started his brand new podcast called the Ovando Podcast. And so I'm not sure if it's on Spotify or anywhere else, but if it is, make sure you check it out as well. It's a brand new podcast where he's talking about running with his friends. And so he's doing it all. But before we get into everything that you have done through Mogollon, through Ouray, maybe even about your podcast, and even maybe talk about Roosters a little bit, why don't you tell us how you got into running in the first place?
Yeah, so I've kind of always been an endurance athlete my whole life. I've swam basically since I was 6-7 years old competitively. And I mean, my parents were both runners. They've done some half marathons and some marathons. So I've just kind of always been around it when they were training. Younger, also, maybe when I was 8, 9 or 10, actually, we would go to, it was a smaller run club at an elementary school. Believe it was on like Wednesdays in the morning. It might have been Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but they had a program where basically it was a challenge to run 100 miles over like the span of a summer. And I just remember I really wanted to do that. And I kept like the days that we would miss the run club, I would just be like, Mom, like we got to go like next week or whatever. Like I really want to get this. I mean, they just give you it's a certificate and then like a little medal, but I still wanted to just be able to, like, yeah, I ran 100 miles over the summer. So yeah, that actually just came up recently. I was just thinking about that. So yeah, I've just kind of been surrounded by running and endurance sports my whole life. Getting serious about running was, yeah, maybe like you were saying, 2-3 years ago. I was actually doing triathlons going through college. Running was basically my weakest link, and I was like, at the time I wanted to take triathlon pretty seriously, and I knew if my running was as slow as it was, I wouldn't be able to take to the next level. So I just started running a bunch. I kind of made my own program. Eventually I found myself going to the pool once a week, biking maybe once or twice a week, and then I was just running 7 days a week. And then also at the time I was getting sober. So like running and like the whole triathlons was like definitely a big help in that. So yeah.
That's interesting because you're so young.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
got me
it's a
into some
ton.
trouble.
What
Yeah.
I mean, so connect dots. I mean, you're 25, and I mean, you just rattled off a lot of different things. And so you said you were getting sober, you were working, you were in triathlons, you started to self coach yourself as a runner, you put together your own run program. Like, how old were you through this transition? Like, is this coming out
Hmm.
of high school?
So it was in college. Like
Okay.
what was I? Maybe 19, almost 20.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was on the triathlon team at GCU, and I was just going out, partying a bunch, drinking. I got my first DUI at the end of, I believe it was my, yeah, like mid junior year, might have been middle. And that's when I was like, okay, like nothing. I mean, besides like it was super expensive, but like the consequences for it were kind of like, oh, like that was it. Like do a like a 3 month program. Oh, cool. Like didn't have to go to jail. Cool. Like that's it. And then so I kept drinking, tried to get sober multiple times. Like I did this one thing where anytime I would get the craving to like drink or use, I would go on a run, but like a hard run. And that was, I mean, I was ended up running, you can imagine, maybe 5 plus 6, 7, 8 times a day. And that just injured myself.
Huh.
So then I just ended up going back to the bottle. I got my second DUI right before I was about to graduate from college. And then after that, like the consequences were a lot worse. I had to do an 18-month
Mm-hmm.
program because it was multiple conviction, had to go to jail. Obviously, fines were more. Yeah. And at that time, I was just like, all right, something's got to change, man. Like even talking to my dad, he was like, hey, like I'm gonna help you get through this, but like this is it. If you're gonna keep doing
Yeah.
this crap, like I'm not helping you out anymore. So then that's when I was
Yeah.
like, all right, man, that was it. I did my last little stint. That was January 5th, 2022 is my sobriety date. So that was the last time I've used, and ever since then, like yeah, running and just endurance sports in general has been super awesome.
I mean, connecting the dots real quick, those listening, like January 25th, 2022, and the first 50K was October 2023. So you're talking in a year and a half, like you're
Yeah.
getting into this sport. Like this run programming that you 7 days a week was a good outlet for you.
Yes. So in
Yeah.
between, actually, like when I got sober, I started going back to triathlons because that's
Okay.
kind of
Hmm.
like what I knew. I told my dad, I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna start getting serious about triathlons again. I think I could like possibly go somewhere. Do you think you could like maybe help get a road bike again? Because he had sold my road bike after he saw me getting into a bunch of trouble, and he's like, yeah, no problem. So then, yeah, that's when I started doing like some local races. I was winning my age group. I went out to, it's kind of, I don't know what you would consider it. Maybe not like a Western States, but maybe like a like a UTMB race, like a Kodiak kind of there, like age group national championships. Went out there, competed, and then that's kind of where I was like, dude, I need to run more. And
Mm.
that was like I want to say beginning of 2023, and then that's when I was just like started running more, and then I just dropped the biking and the swim and started running. I still ride my bike, like cross train, don't get me wrong, but like the swimming, also too, swimming, like I said, I've been doing it my whole life, kind of got a little burnt out on it, I would say.
Hmm.
Plus
I can relate to that for you.
yeah.
My son swam since he was 6 years old. Also, he swam all the way up through at North Carolina State as well. And so when he was done, he's like, I'm just tired of swimming. I've been doing
Yeah.
it all of my life, and so I can get it. I definitely get it. It can be a lot for you because it's for those who don't know the sport, you're in that every day for years. And it's not like you're taking off, 2 or 3 days a week that you're swimming 7 days a week, but maybe 6 if you're lucky to only have a coach give you 1 day off, but it's all your life.
No, thank you.
2-a-days, you're not, and it's like the thing too, 1 day of taking off swimming, you're losing like your lung. Like
You are.
it's a couple of days of practice,
That's
and then
crazy.
you got to make it up. It's not like, I don't like to take more than maybe 3 or 4 days off of running, but like you take a couple of days off of swimming, that's gonna be like a week almost that you need to make up.
It's a different sport. How did you know how to put together your own running program? Because you got my attention when you said that you put together a program for your running. Like, how did you do that? Because you're not coached by a run coach or anything, but you've been doing triathlon. So how did you put together your own program?
So kind of like when I first started, like when I cut the triathlon and I started making my own running stuff, I kind of just like took, okay, say a good workout in the pool would be, I don't know, like 10 100s on a, I don't know, 105 or 110. And I was just kind of thinking, well, if you can do that in the pool, I can maybe kind of come up with something to do it like with running. And then that's kind of when I started figuring out, oh, like these track workouts and all that, like, oh, an 800 is maybe kind of similar to like 100 or a 50 in the pool. So I just was kind of like, oh, well, this might kind of work, and the longer sets, like, oh, maybe 5x500s in a pool. It's like, okay, well, maybe I can do just like long runs. And then I started, researching, what's a long run, all this, and just kind of a bunch of research. And I think having the structure of, the competitive swimming my whole life kind of helped me kind of build something a little bit.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's incredible. I mean, that's pretty mature of you to be able to, one, identify that you had a problem, and then two, be able to find an outlet for that problem too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also too, one of the things that specifically got me into ultra running was I read David Goggins' book, and I was like, okay, well, if this dude can do a 100-miler and he's like overweight, I can go do a 50K. And like I hadn't ran anything. I think maybe the farthest I'd gone is like maybe 11, 12 miles before I'd done that 50K. And in my mind, I'm thinking 50K, I can check off half marathon, full marathon, 50K. It's a 3 for 1. So it's like I'm winning in my book.
And I mean, I think David Goggins needs to go ahead and get credit for probably single-handedly being one of the most influential people to grow the sport. Even though people I don't know if that's true. I think he's gotten a lot of people into the sport just because of the book he wrote. It's interesting because one of his early hundreds also, if I recall from the book, was the San Diego 100 as well, which is one of your first.
Yeah, he's done that one.
So do you have a preferred type of race? You've done everything. I listed at the beginning. You've been doing this since October 2023. You've ran all different types of distances. You've run a flat road marathon as well. Like you're fast. Like you can do just about any kind of area. Do you prefer mountains or trail? Is there a certain distance that you prefer? What is your favorite type of race?
Ooh, definitely distance. I'm gonna have to go with the 100-miler is my favorite distance. Gosh, I mean, every time, the 2 times that I've gone back to Mogollon, I always tell myself like, gosh, that course sucks. But realistically, something like that course, because I think you just have to be a well-rounded runner in general. Like if you can't power hike the climbs, like if you try and run those climbs, like you're gonna blow yourself up. So you have to know how to like push on the climbs, but also like be able to pace yourself. If you can't run the flats, like you're not going to be able to make up time there. And then there's everything in that single track that's super buttery. You can just rip, and then it's like you got to be able to hammer the downhills too. So something like a Mogollon, like some rugged, steep stuff, like, but also there's some runnable stuff in it. That's my kind of course.
What is it about the 100 that you like? Why that distance?
Probably just all the highs and lows that go on during it and just problem solving. Like when something, so for example, Mogollon Monster, I was having a bunch of issues and it was just problem solving the whole time. And there's like
Well,
a sense of achievement when you're able to like pinpoint the issue that you're having and then solve it, and then it gets resolved, and then you keep moving forward.
that's a really good point. Yeah, like, and a lot of people don't give themselves credit about having solved a problem within the middle of the race. They're like, "Oh, I just got through it," and they just keep moving. But to be able to have that maturity to think, "Okay, there was a problem, I solved it, and now I can kind of get a positive outcome from that." That's huge. You keep talking about the Beyond Monster.
Yeah.
So you ran it twice. So in 2024, for those who don't know, our good friend Tim ran that race in 36 hours, 46 minutes, and 40 seconds. It's probably his favorite race of all time. He loved it so much that in September 2025, he ran it again in 22 hours and 38 minutes. Now, I did hear on another podcast that you went back and wanted to run that race again because it was the original course that you were running. It was the point-to-point, I think, version in 2025. But 14 hours difference.
Yeah, you smoked it. That's a
Like,
heck of a difference.
I don't understand. Well,
Yeah, I can't even comprehend it either. I finished right behind you on the first one. You and your buddies.
Can I just say this out of pure love? What sucked so bad for you on 2024?
Yeah. So 2024, I was having some pretty serious IT band issues. I had actually done a 24-hour race. It's called South Bay 24. I want to say maybe 3 weeks, a month before Mogollon. And it kind of started locking up a little bit there. And I kind of just thought, this is, it's part of the 24-hour race. Like, it'll go away. So I just kind of trained through it and showed up on race day. And I was like, okay, cool. It's fine. Like, it feels fine on the start. I'm going to be cool. And at mile 9, I was already having issues and I was having to stop on the side of the trail, stretch it out. It was already locking up, just having to already rely on my poles super heavily. And I remember just telling myself, I'm like, I didn't come to Arizona and to DNF this early in a race. Like, I'm getting this buckle. And I told myself too, like, if it starts to swell up or anything serious, I'll pull the plug. But I kept keeping an eye on it and nothing was swelling up. It was just kind of, yeah, I kept having to stretch it out and really focus on my form the whole time. Like keeping my like butt clenched. Because I guess a lot of the IT band issues will come from like the gluteus medius, like not firing. And I didn't know this at the time, but I just figured I was like really squeezing my butt and like that's the only thing that would help. And I had to do that the whole race. And anytime I would like not clench my butt cheeks, the thing would like lock up and I'd have to stop and stretch it out. Yeah, that was bad. And I was also like I hallucinated in that one too. Probably the worst I ever have. It was just not good. Didn't have an ice bandana. I was burning up, taking a bunch of trying to nap on the side of the trail when it's in the cabin loop when it's super cold. Like it was not good.
Yeah.
I'm entertained.
Like I said, yeah, I finished like 37 hours. I was right behind you because I was running also with a couple of my buddies. So we were trying to stay together. But and it was hot and it was nasty there. And we had the rainstorm at like mile 21 with hail and everything like that.
Sounds like a lot of excuses, Steve.
Yeah. Hey, I still made it there. But I'm saying I got the buckle. I didn't come back the next year and do a 22-hour one. But most people would 9 miles in, they would say like, okay, maybe I'll give it a couple more aid stations and then see where it goes. And then if they still had that same issue, they would be done. Like what kept you locked in and how did you keep focused to make sure you kept focus on your form for that entire rest of because that would be probably 30 hours maybe? How'd you stay locked in for that full time?
Well, I was also just kept having to go back to, when I quit drinking, like I had done
Mm.
like mentally tougher things than that. And I just kind of had to like keep going back to that, just telling myself like, yeah, this is hard, but you've done a lot harder things. And I think
Mhm.
too, yeah, just having my buddy Jake there, constantly encouraging me like, "Hey dude, like you can do it. I know this sucks, but like you're going to get the buckle." So, I'd say those two things combined.
I love good hallucination stories. What did you see?
So, it first kind of started, Steven, when you drop down from fish, funny side story real quick. So, I don't know where you were at when it started raining super hard or hail, but I was coming down Fish Hatchery, and it
Mhm.
started raining the same exact time this year. Like coming down Fish Hatchery, boom, the thunderclouds start rolling in. As soon as I go past Fish Hatchery, boom, just gets dumped on. And I was like, this is the same spot I was at last year that it happened. So I was coming up, I think it was the Pincho Cabin aid station. There's like a slight little hill you go up, and Jake had art like he had dropped me. I'm freezing my ass off, and I'm just kind of like hadn't eaten for a while. I wasn't drinking, nothing. I'm coming up to this aid station, and I didn't know I was close at the time. And like the little Air Vipa flags that say like Air Vipa running. They're like a orangish red
Yeah.
color. So I see that on the side of the trail. I thought it was a toolbox. Completely thought I forgot I was in the race. Like forgot like where I was. And I'm sitting there and I'm bending down to my poles and I'm reading it and I'm like Air Vipa running. I'm like, oh, I'm in a race. Oh gosh, like that's when I knew I had to go into the aid station and sleep. So that was the first one. Second one, I middle of the day, like kind of there's a section right after Fish Hatchery it's kind of flat, but like there's little rollers, single track, and you're kind of just like weaving like in and out at the base of the rim, and it got super hot there, so I'm trying to pass out under a tree, and my buddy rolls up on me and he's like, "What are you doing, dude?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to sleep." And I look at, how when you cut a tree branch and there's like the lines and it tells how old the tree is or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm like staring at there and I start laughing because like all the pieces of wood are like moving and making faces. I'm like, dude, do you see this? Like this tree, it was funny. But he's like, dude, you're seeing stuff right now. And then the last one was on the descent right before you finish. They make you go on a paved road. I don't know why they didn't just end it at Fish
Yeah.
Hatchery. It's like that's 100 miles right there. So I'm coming down this road. I'm trying to bomb it, and I see someone in the middle of the road, like stretching. And I'm like, oh man, I kind of like start walking, and I'm like, oh, I'm like trying to focus in, and I'm gonna go try and help that
Mm.
person. So I run up to him. I get to where the person was at, and I'm like standing. I'm like looking around. There's no one there. I'm like, there was literally no one there. But funny thing, I started to think, well, yeah, hallucinations are definitely from like lack of calories, nutrition, all that. Maybe some sleep, but like it's 100. I mean, 36 hours. I don't know if that's enough to hallucinate. So I was probably thinking it was the calories. But it's weird because when I saw the person stretching, they were like stretching like their IT band, kind of like trying to stretch it out. And I'm thinking in my mind, after I finished the race, I was like, what if that was like my mind trying to like tell me I needed to stretch or something? I don't know, some weird stuff.
You could have actually been stretching and you probably forgot
Maybe, yeah. And
it.
then also in the super sandy sections, this is another thing also. Whenever I was in a super low moment, I was like, man, I just want to quit. I would see like a sad face emojis in the sand. But then whenever I was like me and Jake were, talking a bunch and having a good time, I would look down and I would see like happy face ones. It was weird.
Oh man, you were losing it.
Yeah.
Steve, I feel like all my races are boring, Steve. I don't ever get to have fun visual imageries like this, and never in the daytime. Like, I've never heard somebody had a hallucination in the daytime. One thing to tell you, though, Tim, you should know this because, I am actually a biologist by nature. I've got a master's in public health as well. But when you do cut a tree is a living creature. And so when you cut it, those little lines you see, they do move.
Huh. I didn't know that.
I didn't know
I'm
that
lying,
either.
you two insane. I am
I don't know.
lying.
Jeff, you got a microphone in front of your face. If you say something, it's true.
Oh,
That's how easy it is.
Y'all's faces are fantastic. Yeah, y'all are ridiculous. I love it.
That's
Congratulations.
how easy it is to lie.
I was like, man, I'm about to go cut one right now and go check it out.
2025. You went back. You cut 14 hours off. Listen, there's one thing to say that you were hallucinating. You were dehydrated. You did run that South Bay 24-hour race. We actually had a theory on that because it was 3 weeks before the race. We thought maybe that's kind of what caused some of your residual fatigue. We had no idea that you may have had a residual injury that you took in the race. But still, 14 hours is a huge difference. Can you pinpoint like one or two things that you did differently between 2025 and 2024 that you think really set that race apart, other than not being injured?
This is going to sound like cliche, but I feel like it's true. Just constant, like being consistent with your mileage. Yeah, because it's like, if you don't have that base, you can't really, you're not going to really make any improvements or go anywhere. And then I would definitely say, like, going into Western States, I was doing not a bunch of speed work, but more speed work than I normally do. I actually got my 5K like PR right before going into Western States. So I think I was like in the best shape I've ever been in. So I think all that kind of, and then Ouray doing that all kind of just built up. And I think my body had absorbed everything I had done when Mogollon came around.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just like, let's go do this. So, and also too, I had one of my friends, she came out and crewed me, Brittany. So shout out to her. Like, I couldn't have gone that fast because she was handing me bottles. So
she was better than Jake.
Yeah. 100%.
No offense, Jake. Sorry, man.
Sorry, Jake.
What was your like average aid station stop time? Because we've had a lot of people on here. Chad Bruce, that out here, he said one of his, what was it, 20 minutes overall idle time if you're crewed. So were you kind of around there, and was that a plan you had going into it?
Okay, so here's actually another like little side story. So because the year before we sold it, me and Jake, so we took the bus, and you take the bus to the start line, it's dark out, so you can't really see anything. Mm-hmm. So this time Brittany drove me and my friends to the start, and I'm kind of like sitting there, she's like, yeah, I got the directions. This is my fault for not giving her the directions. So we're pulling up and she's like, oh, we're here. And I'm looking around and I'm like, this is not the start. And this is, I'm pretty sure it's a 6 a.m. start. And we got there at like 5:35 at the parking lot, which is, I think it's like a 45 minute drive to the actual start. So I'm thinking, I just told her, I'm like, get out of the car. So I'm like, get out. So I go to the driver's side and I'm hauling butt on like a little single lane, like sketchy road. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going to be late. So I was the whole plan was kind of changing. I was just telling her, look, no, we're not doing this at the aid station. Like, just give me bottles, go. Like, everything that I said, extra, no energy drink, just go. Because at that time I was like, dude, I need every minute, even seconds, to sub 24 this course, because I know it's tough to do that. So long story short, ended up getting to the start, and the start had got delayed because a runner on the way there had actually ran into an elk or whatever's out there.
Yeah,
deer or an elk. Yeah. He had hit an elk, but I didn't know. Jake was trying to call me. He's like, dude, you have time, but there's no service out there. So I pull up and they're like, oh, it's a delayed start. You have time. So then in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be something special could happen today if everything lines up. So going back to the aid station thing, I was having some issues the first couple of aid stations. So I want to say at like mile 13 or 14, I probably sat under a tree for about maybe 7 minutes. I almost quit there because I almost threw up, which I never throw up. Couldn't eat anything. I was sweating super bad and it was cold out. Like I was shivering, but I was like sweating. It was weird. So I sat there, almost quit because my mind was just telling me, you've already done this race. Why are you doing it again? But then I got up, so kept moving. I would say besides that aid station, they were all pretty quick. Maybe I had, I'm going to say 25 minutes of total elapsed. Maybe less. I'm not completely sure. But after that, it was just kind of like, hey, like, get my stuff. I sat down at the Buck Springs aid station for a bit, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes. But then after that, it was just like, give me my stuff. And like, I got locked in and it was just quick.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
It is. I think one of the most informative things runners can do is they can look at their Strava after a race. I'm assuming you're on Strava. If you're not on Strava, then this race didn't happen anyway. But I'm assuming you're on Strava. And what runners should do is look at their idle time, like what was their elapsed time versus their moving time, because it gives a good idea kind of what that difference was. Are you pulling it up right now?
I was gonna, yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna pull up my phone.
I was like,
I'm gonna look at it right now.
Because I think I tried.
Because you can see what you're.
I tried to check, but for some reason it kept having they were
moving
pretty
time.
synced. Like,
oh wow.
So my moving time was 22:37:21, and then the elapse was 22:38. But I did have some stops in there. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it had to have thought I was like moving or something while I was.
You must have never really. I don't even know how you pulled that off, because even I found people, if they just pause for a second, it starts adding it up quick. That's incredible. You had minimal moving time. I mean, elapsed time, excuse me. You had a crew and everything. Did you change anything about your nutrition or hydration going into this race?
Actually, yeah, there's one thing. So I had actually found the Scratch High Carb maybe a month before Mogollon, and I just fell in love with it. Just one, it doesn't make your water super thick. It just kind of stays the same consistency. It's a light flavor, and I just felt super good off it. So I would say that's it. And then I was eating a lot of mashed potatoes and noodles during that with extra salt.
Mashed potatoes are life out there.
Dude, saved me.
What'd you say? Talking about mashed potatoes being. So I'm assuming no hallucinations then, since you were only out there for 22 hours.
Nothing. And I didn't even, besides like taking a few calf gels at night that weren't super strong, didn't even get tired. Like, I think I've gotten to the point where, like, even when I did Western States, I didn't get tired. It was more just kind of like at Ouray, I had to lay down because my stomach was just blown up, and I just had to like kind of let it reset a bit. But other than that, yeah, the tiredness, I think I've kind of gotten to a point where I can kind of like get over that hump. So
that's impressive. Yeah, I want to talk about Ouray next, but Steve, you have run Mogollon. Is there any questions you have that you are still curious about? Otherwise, I'm gonna jump y'all both to Ouray.
No, I mean, how was the weather like in terms of like the heat this year? Because like I know in 2020, when we do it, 2023, it was, or yeah, winter 2024, it was pretty hot like towards the end and everything like that. Was that about the similar, or so how do you deal with like the heat and everything? Did you have an ice pack this time?
So yes, I did. So I actually think it was hotter when we did it. 2024, I definitely think it was hotter. I would say it was like prime weather conditions. It was just like warm enough to where if you keep moving through the night, I didn't have to wear any layers. I literally just like left my shorts on,
Mm,
didn't have to put anything on. But it's like at the point where you come into an aid station and you're like sitting there, it gets a little cold. But other than that, yeah. And
yeah.
then obviously, I feel like you're gonna get rain at Mogollon no matter what. So it was kind of annoying because as I was leaving fish hatchery, because I knew that section was gonna be hot. I'm like, I had a full ice bandana. I'm like, let's go. Thunderclouds start rolling in, starts dumping on me, and in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want to get cold. So if this keeps like,
Mm.
if it keeps raining and I'm gonna be wet for a while, I don't want to have this ice. So I dump my ice bandana. Like within 15 minutes, boom, clouds like break, and then it starts getting hot, and I'm like, oh man, why did I do that?
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So I'm ready to talk about Ouray. And the reason I am
Yeah.
is because this race is one of those that I will never do because it terrifies me.
Nasty.
Yeah. So it's a little known race for some people for some reason. And I think I say that, I think it's becoming a little bit more popular too. But for those that may not know, and for those that have heard about it, just a quick reminder, it's got over 41,000 feet of gain. It's probably close to
Mm,
42,000 feet of gain, also of loss. And so they say it's fun to say that they have 83,000 feet of change that you run through on this course, which is a crap ton of elevation change. However, that's just a small part of it. It's also run at a pretty high altitude. The highest point is 13,385 feet above sea level. The lowest is at 7,600, which is still pretty high, right? And people are like,
yep.
that doesn't sound as high. Well, it's not as high as 13,000, but it's higher than many of us live at. And the average for the entire 100 miles is 10,239 feet of altitude or elevation, however you want to call it. You're up in the sky for sure. And to give you one more piece of perspective, it's a 100-mile race, but their cutoff is 52 hours. It's brutal. Again, it terrifies me. It's running, I think it's near Silverton, Colorado as well, if that may be a more familiar area. But again, that's how the website describes it. You ran this race in 41 hours and 6 minutes, which is a very impressive time out there, from what I understand. Now, why this race and what drew you to it? Or let me back up. I'm going to ask you that.
Okay.
I described it from somebody who lives on the East Coast when it's flat. You decided to run this race because you're interested in it. You think these types of things are cool because you're insane. And so tell me, in your words, if you're going to describe this race to Jake or to Brittany, how would you describe the course itself to them?
Rough. That's all I would say. That's all I would say, and then I would just walk
I mean,
away.
most 200s don't have that type of elevation change.
They
They're
don't.
like in the 30s.
They don't.
Yeah.
So
That's it. Rough.
that's
That's
it.
it. Rough.
I mean, well, then everybody's going to sign up for it. Sounds like it's easy.
And then if they said anything more, I'd just be like, okay, then go do it. You'll have to find out for yourself then.
to be that hard heading into it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like I looked up a couple videos and stuff, but the videos don't really do it justice until you actually get in front of the climb and you look up and you're like, oh, that's what I have to go up to. So yeah, I mean, the main reason I wanted to do Ouray, I saw the buckle and I was like, I'm doing that race someday. I will do that race. And then also too, I'd never been to Colorado, and just seeing like the mountains, the views, I was like, this is gonna be unreal. Like all the pictures that I've seen, they just look like fake and like a painting. And then I just remember when I went out there with my mom and we were driving through there, we were just like, this is crazy. Like this doesn't even look real. Like the mountains back home, I can't even call those mountains anymore after going over there. They're like bumps.
We have talked about things like races that are above sea level on this show a few times already, but it's we're kind of naive to pretend to not talk about it all, if you will. how do you train for altitude? You don't live at this level of altitude or elevation. Like, how did you deal with the altitude change? Because anything over 5,000, people start to experience some altitude sickness. The higher you get, the more likely you will have issues. So, like, what did you do, A, to prepare, and B, when you were there?
Yeah, so definitely there's, I mean, not a whole lot I can do. It's like to get up to, like, the highest we can go here is like, I think what's Gorgonia, like 11 something, or
Yeah,
so.
I think it's like 10 or 11.
Yeah, so I haven't even been up to Gorgonio personally. The highest I've gone was I want to say like just over 10, which is it's a mountain, San Jacinto. So I would
Hmm.
just kind of, it's a route. It's called Cactus to Clouds, and I would just do that. And I would say just doing, I think my heaviest week of vert, there was this challenge that was going on down here. It was whoever could do this segment the most. And I had ended up getting, like, for the week, like 30,000 feet of gain for the week. That was like my biggest week. But yeah, besides like being able to get up high in altitude, there's me, like, speed maybe helped a little, just getting more fit.
Hmm.
But yeah, I showed up the day before the race, like the night before the race, because I had heard things. So
That's actually smart.
yeah, so Jake had gone out, I think maybe like a week and a half or something before, and or maybe a week, and I just heard if it's not like past a certain amount of days, you're basically putting yourself more in a hole. And so I was like, I'm
Hmm.
going the night before. I'm pulling up the night before, and I'm just gonna see what happens. So actually, that night, I was getting really worried because the whole night I had headaches. I was waking up sweat, like dripping sweat, and I was like walking around the hotel room. I'm like, this is not good. Like, and I knew I was hydrated, like everything was on point, and I started to get a little worried. And I woke up that morning, race day morning, and like it was just gone. And I was like, okay, at least I'm going to be able to get to the start. I definitely do. I want to go back to Ouray just because I know I can do better. But if I were to go back and like have a high performance, I would want to go out there like a month before for sure. Because like the altitude thing, it's like if someone were asking me that was coming from the sea level person, and like, hey, how do I train for Ouray? I would just be like get a lot of vert, maybe hit 25,000 feet in a week, and then do like get fast as you can. And I mean, it just kind of depends on your goal. If you want to have a high performance, you got to go up like 3 weeks, a month
Mhm.
before. If you just want to finish, I think you can gut it out showing up the night before, but it's not going to be like your best race. Like, you'll finish it, but you're going to feel the altitude later in the race for sure.
Yeah. I was gonna say one suggestion I have that's worked well for me, especially at the Mammoth that we were at an average of like 8,000 feet, I think it was. Do the same things that you're saying, be as fit as possible. Who do we have on it? It was Annie. Well, I forget her last name.
Tisdale.
Yeah, Annie Tisdale. She
And
said
Tisdale.
that
Mhm.
Annie Tisdale said to be as fit as possible, which you were. But I also add in sauna sessions because they call that the poor man's altitude training. Um, I usually go for a run and then sit in the sauna for like 40 minutes because it mirrors the adaptation that you have at altitude. So, and then get out there about a month early would be how I would do it too.
Did you get to Mammoth early?
I got up to Mammoth like 3 days early, so I was like right at the tail end of that window where you would
Mhm.
have a problem.
Yeah. So and Steve, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but typically they say the window of danger is 24 to 72 hours, where
Yep.
most people start to experience symptoms. And it tends to be the 48, 72 hour mark where people start to really experiencing it if they're going to. And so by getting there the night before, like you did, you kind of closed a lot of that front half, that window. So you didn't have to deal with that yourself. And so But it is why they say if you can get there at least a week beforehand, it really helps you to have acclimated at least to where you don't get the altitude sickness. Now, better bang for the buck, the longer you can do it. So I agree. A month would be fantastic. I just can't afford that kind of stuff.
Exactly. That's the thing. Exactly. Yeah.
But that's cool. So Ouray, what was your favorite part about the race?
Ooh, obviously the scenery was unreal, and like if we're talking sections, gosh, what was that section called? Ironton. So it's like you do it's an Ironton loop. So you go out and you do it counterclockwise, and then you go clockwise. And that thing, I like Fire Road. Because you could tear it up, and then but that loop had everything, like kind of like I was saying, Mogollon. It had the rough parts because you do half Fire Road, and then it goes to single track on the other half. So it has everything, super technical stuff, like some single track you can run, and I got to do it twice, so that was super cool.
Well, I was going to ask you after that, like, what's your least favorite part? But instead, I'm just going to take you to Crystal Lake.
Oh yeah, that was rough, man. That was 100% my least favorite part. I picked up Brian at was it Weehawken, I think, aid station, which is like 50 something, and I was already like down in the dumps, and I wasn't eating, was drinking some, and I just remember asking him like, hey dude, how's this section, like this next one? And he's like you'll see when we get there. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be rough. And yeah, it was rough. Like I just remember having to stop like probably 20-25 times, and I was just like leaning on my poles just trying to catch my breath. I got like super lightheaded. Yeah, it was not good, and I was bonking at the same time. And I just remember telling Brian, like, as we were going down Hayden Pass, I was like, dude, I don't think I'm coming out of this. I can't make it up this. Like, my legs are dead. And he's like, dude, just wait till we get to the bottom, like lay down for a bit, let your stomach reset, and eat a bunch of food. And I get down there, I think I ate like 2 plates of bacon and eggs, and then I laid down to kind of like let the stomach settle, and then I got up, and I was like, okay, like let's do this thing. And I think I didn't like crush it, but I got up the back half of the climb like way faster than I did on the front half. So, and then the whole thing that only thing that was going through my mind was get to Felon Park, because I knew if I could get there, like I was gonna finish the race.
So it's interesting to me when people tell me that they think they're going to drop or they're not sure if they're going to be able to keep moving forward. Now, you're talking about going down this place, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never run this course. You're definitely going to be much more familiar with it, but you're going down what you call Hayden Pass, which means you're going down, and you recognize that this race is going to require you to go back up the way you came, right? So how do you, if you're mentally telling yourself, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, I don't know if I'm going to have the legs to do it, if these are the things that are going through your head, you can go down and sit and eat as much bacon and eggs as you want to. But when you get down there, you still have to figure out how you're going to convince yourself, I can do this. So how do you make that mental switch?
Like one step at a time, one tiny little, like, okay, make it to that tree, make it to that rock, like, and then giving myself credit, dude, like you just did that. And then maybe instead of, if you're going up a climb, like instead of looking at the top of the climb and being like, oh man, I still have to go up that, maybe just like focusing on what's in front of you instead of looking it too far into the future is like kind of the same thing, and like future tripping about it, just kind of like taking it step by step.
That's actually really smart. And we talk about, you and I've talked about this, I think, with others too, is it's taking this big insurmountable idea that's in our head that, we're going to have to go 100 miles or whatever that distance is. We're going to have to go back up Hayden Pass, and it looks really, really high. Instead, trying to bring all that down to just a small, achievable little spot and just focusing on just this small piece as opposed to the immensity of it all. And I think if you can do that and narrow it down, it does allow you to kind of systematically work through it. I think it's very mature, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it breaks it down like how you break down aid station to aid station, you usually say, and then you're even breaking it down even further. I think it's super smart not to look at the top of a climb. I try not to ever do that. And then, especially when they're like really far off in the distance, you're like, oh crap, I got to go over that. And you're like, well, just going to focus on what I'm doing right now. So that's the biggest thing. The next step. If you focus on the next step, that's usually where you can start making progress.
It's those other stupid runners and their headlamps that you can see really high above you, though.
I'm just gonna.
But then sometimes you see planes. Yeah,
I can see that light way up there. I'm not going up there. That's got to be a star.
There's been times where I saw a plane and I was like, we have to go all the way up there. And then somebody was like, that's a plane. I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
Thank God we're not going
another
that
thing
high.
that doesn't help too is having, like, when you have the map and it shows how much elevation you have left and you're looking at it and you're like this time you feel like you've gone so far, you look at it and you're still at the bottom. And it's like, oh dude, the map just has to go away at that point.
So did the altitude ever make you lightheaded?
Oh, big time.
Like when you were getting up to the peaks and stuff?
Yeah, so like you were saying, the highest point is like 13.3. I think it was Fort Peabody. And you do that, I believe, within like the first marathon of the race, first 50K. And I wasn't like going hard like at all. I was staying pretty conservative. I was like trying to move pretty good going up. And I remember, because like I said, the highest I'd been before this was like maybe like just above 10. So I'm going up, climbing up with this dude, and I start going up ahead of him, and I start, getting okay, it's harder to breathe, a little lightheaded, and then I start like seeing stars, and then I feel like I'm gonna pass out, and I could see the top, maybe like a couple hundred yards to the top. And I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm going to pass out right now. And I wanted to like sit down and maybe take a break for a bit. But I just remember Brian telling me before I started, he was like, if you start to get, really sick or you start to feel the altitude, he's like, you don't want to sit for a long time. He's like, their best bet is just to get down. So I was just telling myself, get to the top, and then get down as fast as I could. And as soon as I started going down, it's crazy. My legs came back, my breathing started getting better, lightheadedness went away. It almost felt like I took a caffeinated gel, and I just started feeling so good again. I had never gotten that sensation before, and it was just like, it was cool. Besides the almost passing out part wasn't cool, but the coming down and like feeling like I had some caffeine and like my body coming back to me was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy. But Steve, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to ask you a question.
That's why Jeff and I were talking about this before when we were prepping for this. That's why they don't have aid stations at the top of those climbs, because they don't want you hanging out up there. They want you to get up and get down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have anything like that? Yeah, Steve, did you have anything like that with you at Mammoth? Like you got lightheaded?
Maybe a little bit going up the first time to like 11,000 feet. But I did the same thing. I got in, grabbed the peanut butter and jelly, and then got out. But that was my plan. I was like, I'm not going to hang out up here, because the longer I hang out, the more effect it's going to have on me. So luckily it was like a straight up and straight down.
Do you think that there are runners that don't know that this is a possibility when they sign up for a race like this? I mean, I'm assuming you both knew this because you had researched. Steve, you're a coach, so I know you know because from that as well. But Tim, is this something you knew that you could experience, or is it just something that you just kind of stumbled upon?
Yeah, I'm that guy. I was like, oh.
I mean, because that would have freaked me out.
And it kind of did. But so when I was younger, I would go backpacking with my dad and my grandpa all the time. So I've had a history of like bad altitude sickness. I remember this one time we were out in the Sierras, and I want to say we were maybe at like 8,000, maybe 8, and I woke up and I just had the worst headache ever. Like felt like I was gonna vomit. It was horrible. Couldn't eat, and like I was crying because I was like maybe 7 or 8. It was horrible, and like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, like this could come up, but I mean it did. But I was just like, I had a bunch more tools, things that happened in my life to be able to like
Mhm.
handle it. So
Yeah, I would have freaked out. I mean, I live at sea level. I've lived at sea level my entire life. I would definitely experience something like that. I don't know. I just don't think a lot. I mean, I think people hear about altitude sickness. I think they hear about, they don't hear it. I want to go run Leadville or I want to go run Hard Rock. They start saying these races and they understand that this may be an issue, but I don't think they really understand the issue it could be for them if they don't research it and maybe never experience it. I just think it's one of those things that
Yeah.
we talk about, but I don't know if we talk about enough. What went well other than finishing?
yeah, I would definitely say the first 50 was really good. I was feeling pretty good. I was getting my like solids in. I was using my high carb mix, taking gels. I would say definitely the first half, and then like the last climb went really well. And then just like my mom she crewed me. That was her first time like crewing me on a 100 miler, and I think she did a great job. Like, so shout out my mom.
You were brave,
That's always
man.
good.
I love my
Yeah.
mom, but I would never trust her to crew me at a race.
So one little side story.
No
I think
disrespect.
there's it's called like the $1,000,000 highway or whatever out there, and I guess there's like no guardrails. And my mom does not like driving on anything like that. So, and I remember Jake had told me, he's like, dude, about that highway. And I'm like, dude, don't tell my mom that because she's not going to go to that aid station. And then after the race, she was like, I'm never driving that highway again. If I knew that was like there, I wouldn't have gone there. And I was all, well, thank you so much for going. I'm like, I didn't even know that was there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Not me. I couldn't do that at all. So anyhow, Steve, anything else you want to know about Ouray?
I think that was it. I think we covered all of it.
Then we want to talk about your future.
All right, let's do it.
So, Tim, you are signed up to take part in the second offering of the Rooster's Backyard. That race takes place on November 1st. This episode that we are chatting on is going to be released on October 31st. So, the reason we want to talk about it is because now is your opportunity to give your shot in the dark, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the Roosters is going to go?
Well, I'm not going to take it as the approach I did last year, because last year I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to run 200 plus miles, whatever. I'm going to do, but this time it's every lap is its own race. Because I quit last year because I started thinking too far into the future. I was like, I don't want to, this guy that I'm going against, he still looks fresh. I don't want to be out here for another, whatever, 2 days. I was thinking too far in the future. So this time I'm just I'm going to use my speed a little bit. I'm going to do faster laps. And then, just take it one lap at a time.
That wasn't a good claim. How far are you going?
Are you going to win it?
Yeah, that's really the question.
Yeah.
Let's see how competitive he feels.
We'll see, man. There's some strong dudes out there that I saw on the start list, so I'm not making a claim or anything. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna compete with myself. The only thing I want to get accomplished is I need to retrieve my soul at 108 because it's waiting for me at 108. I need it back.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
that's spoken like a veteran ultrarunner right there.
Thanks.
He's like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
So here's a tip that I learned a lot of the elite backyard runners will eat while they're coming into the aid station. So most people look at an aid station as their opportunity to eat and get all their stuff, right? Instead, what they do is they eat as they're coming into the aid station. So they're not spending time at the aid station eating. They're spending time at the aid station recovering, taking care of their feet, putting their chafe and stuff on, kicking their feet up and relaxing and trying to sleep maybe, as opposed to trying to eat. So their crew is packing all their stuff and taking it out on the journey with them. And so that they're eating on the return trip, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm gonna have
Never thought of it that way.
I'm gonna have to
Think about that.
I mean, most of us out there, the last time we did it, were probably pretty new to the backyard format. I know I was, and I think all you and your buddies were too. And I think you guys planned on, I think you had like 5 minutes. That was your plan for the loop, really. And then I found like if I came in it with like 10 minutes left, I would start getting cold before we went back out, and I would be freezing, especially at night, until like halfway through the loop, and then I'd start sweating immensely. So I think the 5 minute plan is actually pretty good. And then you add that with eating as you're coming in. I think that's a recipe for success.
I'm definitely
It depends on when you want to sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the eating while I come in my quiver. But the only thing that I had issues with doing the like slower loops was I really started to feel it on my joints, like towards once I hit the like the 100-mile mark, and I was like, man, dude, like it would be nice to kind of like rest a bit, maybe put like the Normatex on and like chill and like lay down for a bit, because it was like it felt like 5 minutes felt like a long time in the beginning of the race. And then as the race progressed, I was like, oh man, I only have a minute left. Like it just started going fast. So I think my plan, I want to try and go like 45-minute laps this time. So
the other reason that the eating thing works better for folks when they consider it this way is because you know how your stomach gets uneasy? You start feeling sick, right? If you're moving and you're running and everything. And the idea is that you're supposed to slow down or stop moving so your food will digest. Well, that's why you eat towards the end of your lap, because you're about to sit anyway. Yeah. Right. So you're allowing that food to digest as well. So you're not creating an uneasy stomach while you're trying to. So if you come to your aid station and you gorge yourself, and then now you're going to go run, you haven't given yourself a chance to have any of that food kind of get in. Right. Instead, you eat, rest, then go run, as opposed to come back in, eat, and run. Make sense?
Dude, yeah, big time.
That's why he runs 450 miles.
Right. I don't run backyards. I just know them. So, so any other things that you're planning to do between laps? You're going to do some Normatec. You're going to give yourself about 10 to 15 minutes between laps. Is there anything specific you are going to do differently, you think, or that you're going to put in practice that you are looking at?
No, that's like the biggest thing. And I'm going to actually, this time I'm going to have a crew starting from the beginning, because last year I didn't have crew till night hit, so I think that's gonna help a lot too.
I like it. I think that's wise. I
Certainly
think
will.
So they get to see you when you're fresh also.
Exactly.
And I mean, is it the same loop? Because it's relatively flat except for one spot, which always sucked. It was like a little like I don't know, 25, 50 foot hill, and you're like, this sucks every time you went around it. So is it the same spot?
Same spot, yep. But this time
that was the spot that sucked.
I told Sosa that he's got to have a porta potty at the halfway point, because like during the day, like that was not cool, man. Like having to like either try and find a bush, and because it's a community park, so like there's people walking their dogs, like there's people playing golf in the center. So it's like once night hit, it wasn't really an issue, but man, during the day, it's rough. It's like and it's pretty exposed too. So yeah, you can imagine.
That is awesome. Steve, are you doing the backyard this year? Are you doing roosters also?
I'm not that one. If he has it in February, I might do it again, but I don't. He looks like he was going to have it 2 times, so I might do it in February. Who knows? Definitely not this. I'll be in New York City for the New York City Marathon this time.
Ooh,
that's awesome.
Not PRing it,
just running it. Are you
Just
going to
running it.
listen? Tim runs at sub 3 hour. He runs his marathon. What about you?
I don't think I'll ever hit a sub 3 hour
Tim, that's
on a
fast.
bike.
So real quick, we're about to be wrapping up, but you're a high school coach as well for cross country.
Yes, I am.
How rewarding has that been for you?
Super rewarding. This year, it actually makes it more rewarding when you have the kids that will buy into the process, and they like you could tell them we're going to go run 20 miles today at 5K pace, and they're like, okay, let's do it. Like, if I'm going to get better, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. So it's cool when you have that, but also it's cool when you have maybe one of the kids that you think you're not having a big impact on, and then like at the end of the year, like they'll come up to you and be like, hey coach, like I really appreciate you coming out and coaching me. Like, I actually really like running now.
4 years ago, you were a different person.
Yeah, 100%.
It's an incredible journey.
Think about that for a second. Have you ever just looked back, and I'm not even going to ask you for any kind of great like statement or anything, but have you ever just looked back and thought, dang, 4 years ago, I was a different person?
Yeah, thank you. Definitely, I do look back at, the person. At the end of the day, like, I'm the same person, but like I do, like, my actions have changed. So I'll look back and just be like, yeah, that guy, like, I don't know who that guy is anymore. Like, I am, a different, like, my actions have changed, like I said. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I never went through all that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And like the lessons that I can pass on to, fellow runners or my brother, sister, or someone struggling with an addiction, it's like, if I never went through that, then I wouldn't be able to help people out now. So.
Well, and even the high schoolers that you're inspiring to run, like that wouldn't have happened 4 years ago. Like, it's like you're still evolving this legacy of who you are, and I think that's just commendable. So kudos to you, man.
Amazing.
Really, yeah, it is cool, isn't it, Steve? I mean, it's great. I wish at that age I had figured some crap out. Seriously, though. So at this point of our show, Tim, just I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but we do this segment we call Coach's Corner. So it's when listeners who listen to the show, they submit questions for Steve, myself, and our guest to answer. You're a coach, so we expect a really good answer from you this time, just so you know.
All right.
It's like, crap. No pressure. Nothing like that. But we do our best to give an answer that we kind of think about a little bit, and we just provide that. And sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're not, and nobody's yelled at us too much. So we appreciate just the questions that are coming in. So if you're listening and you've got a question for Coach's Corner, please, we invite you to send that in as well. But today, the question comes to us from this gentleman named Noah. He says he is getting into running, and he wants to know, what do you do if your easy run pace feels hard that day? Do you just run slower? You don't go first. Listen, we're going to let you off the hook, Tim. You don't have to go first.
Okay.
He's like, thank God.
Yeah.
Steve, me or you?
So I'd say I'll go first. And
All right.
I think we talked about this a little bit too. And I've said it before too. I usually don't assign a pace to an easy run. I assign an effort. And if that effort feels hard on an easy run day, then you slow down. And that's how you adjust that. But if you're assigning a pace and it feels hard, then you're definitely not doing an easy day. So you got to slow down.
Yeah, I love the question because I think there's this confusion in the question, in that it says easy run pace feels hard. And I'm not sure how it can be an easy feel hard type thing. And so it's the same thing you're saying, is that if it's intended, let me slow down. Every run you do should have intention, be it a recovery run, a threshold run, a VO2 max run, speed intervals, whatever that is. You should have some intention behind those runs. And if your run's intention is to be an easy run or a easy pace run, then if it feels hard, then you're not hitting the intention of the run. So you got to figure out how to either slow it down and reduce that effort so that you hit the intention of that planned run. So Steve's very similar to yours. Tim, anything to add?
I 100% agree with both of your guys' answers. I would definitely maybe add in, when's the last time you took like a recovery day? You might need to take a day off or cross train because you might be overworking yourself.
It's true. It's definitely true. Because you can
That's
have a
why
lot
we
of,
ask our
you can have,
guests.
yeah, because our guests recognize compound fatigue. We don't pay attention to it. Tim's like, dang, y'all, they may just be tired.
Just slow down.
we just like slow. Tim, we just say slow down. That's why we run slow. Anyway, but that was the Coach's Corner. So Noah, thank you for sending that in. Tim, thank you for your answer as well. We appreciate that. And Steve, I mean, we're doing the best we can.
Hey, we try, that's all that matters.
We do. Well, Tim, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. It's been great. Like we have talked about a lot. The time flies, which is what's incredible. You have, as I said in the beginning, you've done a lot of races. We could have spent time talking about Western States, but then I would have just yelled at you because I still haven't gotten in and I've got 32 tickets. But that's beside the point. Not all of us can get in with one. And if I ever get in, I will not nearly go as fast as that either, but that's beside the point too. There's other races you've done, like I said, and you have a great resume. We really were excited to talk about Mogollon and also about Ouray. We think those are fantastic races. Steve has experienced Mogollon. We're both terrified of Ouray, but we think it's really cool. And so, but thank you for hanging out with us today, spending the time, showing everybody that's watching on YouTube, if they're watching there, just your tremendous number of shoes that are behind you, because I don't think I've ever seen so many. And I think that's impressive, particularly since you're 25. But so really, no, seriously, thank you for being a part of the show with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. I had a great time. You guys are both good hosts. So yeah, thank you so much.
Hey,
We
appreciate that.
Definitely. And so for those listening, thank you so much for taking the time to download the episode and plugging us in your ears. Hopefully you were out on a run and it was a great run. And now that you're done, you can go home and tell everybody about the episode. So leave us a comment, leave us a like, do whatever you're supposed to do and subscribe, but definitely come back for next episode and see who we talk to then. But Tim, again, thank you. And for everyone listening, we will see you guys soon. See ya. Bye now.
Have a good one.